Hello and welcome back to the Cafe Cast. And as you know, it was, say, 2-3 weeks ago we were discussing the last few episodes of Season 8. So how many more have come out since then?
Several. Too many.
Well,
I mean, Reign of Superman came out. That was nice.
Alright then. So, here with me to talk about the next however many episodes of Season 8, we have Day Lover.
Hello everyone, Day Lover here. Can't wait to talk more about the episodes. Whee! Next!
Yes, you're next. You're so next. Crimson Glow.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. I am Crimson Glow, your future evil overlord of all things pony and otherwise in this world.
How about that? The editor.
Hello there, my friends. I'm the editor and just visiting over from the other rift to say hello.
Yes, and he's staying. We've kidnapped him.
No. I did that the first 2 times. Remember the first intro? I was like, wait, what am I doing here? I don't belong here.
Yeah.
I thought he was just someone's editor and we were putting him in because why not?
Yeah, that's true.
No, that's his name.
Ironically, I'm not an editor for hire.
Aww.
Well, that's life, ain't it? Omniviewer.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Victor Jones Radio Hour, brought to you... Wait a minute! I'm being told I'm on the wrong program, excuse me. Sorry about that, folks. I'm the Omniviewer. How do you do?
So he is.
You know, if you did like a radio edit voice with like the transitioning radio static behind you, would sound almost exactly like Alistair from that hotel animation thing.
I actually do have a series where that Victor Jones character is a thing.
Yeah,
Yes.
hotel. That would sound similar.
I was about to say, yeah. I heard
Although
that.
she does steal most of her characters, so...
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Who doesn't?
And
There is
that's-
nothing new under the sun, as it was said in some book somewhere.
No, I mean, literally, she steals characters.
Oh.
Well, anyway.
Yay!
Ain't that sad? But, alright. We have, where we left off last time, I believe it was, breakup breakdown.
Non-compete clause.
Yeah.
We didn't get to non-compete clause either.
No, I mean,
the last
like
one we did
that was
was
the last one we went to, and now we're going to breakdown.
Oh. Okay.
So, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, folks. That has got to be a step up, whatever it is. From non-compete clause.
Yeah, that's true.
I'll admit it's a step up. That doesn't mean it's a very big step.
Aww.
Okay, so first opinion is not the best one, it would seem. Not the highest esteemed one, that is.
Yep.
Yeah.
So instead, we got the second opinion here.
Yay!
Well, that's alright, I can hold off, so... Same order, what did everybody think? Day Lover.
Oh, I actually kind of liked the episode, with them having this, how a small thing can be misunderstood and, like, all of this jazz. I also really like Discord in this episode, like, trying to cheer Big Mac up after he breaks up with her and stuff like that. I was just like, okay, yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, come get to know this skull pony.
Yeah, that was funny. But, of course, we all know, like, what's going to happen in the episode, and they're not going to, like, they're going to get together after. But I still think, like, it was kind of so sweet with it. And I just like the romance in the start as well, like the heart-shaped cake and stuff like that.
I'm going to stop you there, though. I don't think we have time for that kind of a summary. Just, we'll go around, give everyone a chance to go back and forth a bit, but for starters,
like,
just going to get
that was also like what I was
in there, so.
Yeah, that was what I was saying. Like, it just has like this sweetness all around.
Okay.
Yeah.
Crimson.
I fucking hate this episode.
He hates this episode.
Yeah, I dislike this episode very much. Like, I think the only thing I liked about it is the ending. Like, in the end, it did. I was like, okay, yeah, that's kind of cute. But I think that overall, this premise is too soon. It's too soon to have this premise going on.
You mean for the characters?
Yeah, for the characters and for us as an audience. Like, we literally just got to know their relationship at the beginning.
Oh yeah,
like we just got there, and now we're being introduced to, oh, she's breaking up with me because she's hiding this thing that's really stupid, that's oddly very specific, that Spike predicted.
All right. So I have a feeling there's going to be some back and forth over that. But in the meantime,
Yeah.
editor, your take.
Was I watching an MLP episode or was I watching an episode of Friends? I couldn't tell the difference.
Oh
No, that was the one that Pinky knows, honey.
No, I mean, this one as well was like a Friends episode.
A good Friends episode or a bad Friends episode?
A bad Friends episode. It's like the one where, it's like, if you've watched Friends, it's similar to, like, just the constant going off, like, we were on a break! Like, fuck up. So, it's just, honestly, it just reminds me of a Friends episode. You've got, and it's all like those kind of cliche kind of things. You've got the mix-up of love letters. You've got you've got the person who thinks, I know what I'm talking about, so heed my advice. Then halfway through, halfway, or even probably a little bit after halfway, one of the characters says something which is like, maybe this is the reason. Wait, what? Wait, yeah, that reason can't be it. Oh, wait, at the end of the episode, that was the actual reason for all of it? Oh, I should have listened. It was just boring to listen to.
All right.
Yeah.
And finally, the Omnipinion.
Opinion.
What?
Well, I feel torn, I guess, because it's incredibly cliche for most of it, but it still occasionally did certain things that I liked. Like how Discord wasn't just being a complete jerk in this episode, unlike what we'll see in a later one. Like he actually comes through in the end, and it's that left kind of ambiguous and up to you as to whether or not he may have been planning something like it all along. I was that's the kind of Discord I like to see after his reformation. And I'll also say that I'm relieved they didn't take the B plot of the CMCs getting the letter instead in the direction of having Sweetie Belle think that Big Mac was interested in her, because they could have done that, but they didn't.
And that would be creepy.
Count your blessings.
Yeah.
Count our blessings. It's not creepy.
We have the internet for that.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, dressing up as Pennywise wasn't creepy enough.
Yeah.
So there are things about it that I think are certainly worth saying were done well, but the rest of it is still fairly, like, something we've seen so often before.
Yeah.
So,
I can agree with that.
And as tough as it is to believe, I think I might actually be the high-end opinion in the room. I thought it was... I mean, granted, I didn't think it was spectacular, but I thought, I mean, especially for this season, first of all, okay, typical plots, that's... I am so tempted to say literally every plot this show does ever, and, I mean, honestly, I don't think that the point is that the ending is going to be a surprise. I think this episode actually made fun of how this ending is used a lot, like, I wonder if it'll be something insanely contrived that just happens to fit everything you overheard. Maybe, I mean, that's plausible, isn't it? Okay, no, it isn't. We have to assume she's breaking up with you.
Yeah.
I think that
What's up?
the problem with that, though, is the fact that there are some points in the episode where it's like, that does not fit with the explanation that they just gave us.
Where?
Mm-hmm.
What, specify a little bit, like, what doesn't fit with what?
Okay, sure, there's a part of the scene where it's like, oh, I hope that he won't get upset. I mean, we've been through so much together, and you're just sitting there going like, how else are you supposed to put that?
Yeah, no, I think that's why the joke is that it's so implausible that it's anything else. I mean, it's self-aware
It's a cliche.
and I mean, and granted, that's maybe not as clever as if it actually were something else, but I mean, I appreciate that the episode can rib itself over that one, and that it still fits the moral of, okay, don't jump to conclusions, or at very least, talk to someone straight out, and don't, try to get the one-up on them, not it. That's not maturity or how relationships should work. That's just pettiness.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Mm.
and otherwise, even though, I mean, it was a little jumbled, you saw, what with Discord not believing in true love and all that, I mean, it does focus on stuff that's a little played out, but I mean, I thought it had a lot of fun character interplay. I thought just seeing these guys be buddies and play off each other, we haven't seen that dynamic a ton, and it kind of short supply and interactions that feel like real friendships do, that seems similar to that, so I appreciated that. I appreciated how it ends with a Some Like It Hot reference, so
Yeah. That was funny.
I think this is a solid B-grade episode, one of the season's better ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't say it did anything that made it terrible for me. Like I said, I just feel, I mean, even taking into account that for all intents and purposes, the show was made for for a particular demographic that may not have seen this kind of thing before because of they are younger. I don't know. I would say it's average for me, I guess. So maybe above average because of the stuff I did like.
Yeah. Well, I could go with a second on the B grading. Yeah.
Honestly, I still don't particularly like it. It's one of the lower episodes, in my opinion. Like
It was too predictable.
Yeah.
I don't know which
Not
episode
only
of
that,
the
but
show
just-
wasn't predictable. I mean, Canterlot Wedding, I guess, but
Well, Canterlot Wedding was just like a recreation of The Little Mermaid in a way.
I mean,
We'll
you
talk
could
about that later.
make that comparison, but I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, I get where you're going with it, but I don't think that quite computes exactly the way you think it is.
No.
But honestly, with me for this episode, some of the comedy just didn't stick with me as much, and I feel like they could just take out the CMC plot altogether, and it really wouldn't change that much.
actually,
Yeah.
granted, I'm trying to call back a reaction from the first time I had it, but I remembered something being a little bit, like, something in their plot being a little bit awkwardly paced out, like there was more written in, and then they just decided to cut some of it out and try to draw a straight line from A to whatever point they did decide to go to next. Like it was, yeah. Oh yeah.
But
Yeah.
We've got to search all of Ponyville to figure out who sent Sweetie Belle this pie, and then
I will say
we
that the
never
one
cut back to that
joke-
ever. It's just they.
The one joke though that really was funny to me was when Sweetie Belle was going off and was doing the whole searching thing, and then she gets to Snips and Sales and goes like, "Hey, did you guys give me like a pie? You know, it's okay if you didn't. Please don't please not be them, please not be them, please not be them.
Yeah, that was a little funny, yeah.
That was actually pretty funny, but like overall, and then there's also the fact that they do have an education system. They know how to write. Why didn't Big Mac just write her name?
I think he did.
Why do we use emojis?
I think they did write their name, but because isn't their name Sugar Belle and Sweetie Belle, but the first part of it got smudged.
This first part was smudged, in the pie.
That happens when you put letters in pies.
Yeah.
I speak from experience.
Did you have a guilty lover based on
It's
the
just
pie?
a thing I do. They didn't sell, though. And then there was a lawsuit. I don't want to talk about it.
In that case,
pie.
let's move on.
Yeah.
I mean, this episode, it makes me laugh in a few different places. Big Mac, what do you mean? And why are you leaning like that?
Yeah.
There are some episodes, but I think the moral still sticks, and the message goes through. But it's just one of those episodes that it could have been so much stronger. If we had known them a little longer, maybe like Maud Pie and Stick in the Mud. Stick in the mud.
No, I'll take this episode over that one any day.
Yeah.
No, I know.
I mean, this episode did a couple of things that were played out. That episode was one giant thing that played out.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I actually like the joke that Spike is right with it, because like you're just like, okay. I knew like it, I know that it had to have an explanation, but well, that's fine.
Yeah.
As far as things being predictable, though, I mean, it depends on whether I mind that. If the reveal is supposed to be the point, like, hey, isn't that such a surprise? No. Yeah, then I mind. But if it's really not the point, if what the characters are doing and what they're caring about and how they're interacting, if it doesn't revolve around whether or not the reveal is the reveal, if the important part is other aspects, then I can get into that instead.
Yeah.
Destination versus journey.
Yeah, that's true.
For me, the journey, the destination was much better than most of the journey.
Okay. Yeah, well, you still got a ride. Yeah.
And I can think of no better note than that to move on to the next episode.
I can think of a better note.
Oh?
What?
C flat? No, that's right.
God damn it.
Hi. C. Molt Down.
Yay, Molt Down.
Alright. AKA, look, Daddy, every time a dragon glows, it gets its wings.
That's true.
Every time a rock sings, a dragon gets its wings.
Yeah.
Actually, it's every time a dragon gets stoned, he gets his wings.
Oh, that was good.
Oh, yeah.
Lyrically, that doesn't quite fit, though.
Doesn't matter.
Every time
a bell rings and Rarity can't hear it, a dragon gets his wings.
Yeah, that's true.
Every time a dragon gets acne, a dragon also gets wings.
Every time a dragon has to look like a fucking harlequin.
Alright, let's move on.
Yeah,
Let's
one
get
sentence
to
summaries. Daylover, what did you think? Molt Down.
I liked it, but there's also like all of the disgusting things with the teenage stuff. I know like they had to show it at some point. It's just like, you know how I am with that sort of form of humor. That's not my cup of tea. But the rest of the episode was okay, and like them being attacked by the dragon and stuff like that. I think like that it was okay with also a little bit of Sakura in the episode. Him getting his wings all of the sudden, like molding up, and that I was also like, I guess maybe a little surprised, but we all know like that was bound to happen at some point, I guess, as well. But I there's some in the episode that I don't understand with him, like talking with what's that? It's not Ember.
Smolder,
yeah.
Smolder.
And like her not telling him all of it, but I like that she tries to help him as much as she can. But that's really nice, like having somebody to help you through stuff like that.
to be fair,
like, puberty is not easy.
We'll move on to the back and forth in a second.
Yeah,
but,
that's
okay,
next.
Yeah. Right there. Crimson.
I think at the time it was, when I first saw it, it was just kind of an episode along with the rest.
Yeah.
But after like looking over it like a time or two, I think that it was a lot deeper than I thought it was going to be.
Hmm?
Like it's kind of a cultural thing that comes up a little later in the season too, with that terrible episode of which I hopefully don't have to talk about.
Oh, really?
Where it's the different dragon cultures kind of fusing into the pony culture. We have Smolder going like, "Hey, you know, when you go through the molt, you have to kind of like go off and be on your own for like ever."
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And we had an episode very similar to this way back in the day with oh god, what was it called? It was Spike's birthday episode.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Secret of My Excess.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think that was the birthday episode, because the birthday episode.
Yeah, it was his birthday.
Yeah, like
no, it was his birthday that episode.
didn't you know you get a ton of gifts on your birthday, Spike? Oh, I usually just get
like,
one
what?
from
Greedy.
Twilight.
Yeah.
And then he grows into this giant thing.
He
Dragon.
goes into Spikezilla.
Yeah.
And then they have that weird, and then Rarity and Spike have that weird, awkward moment where they're falling together, and it's weird.
Yes.
It's like, I accept death. I love you. I don't.
I love you. I know. I love you.
You beat me to it by a second.
Yeah.
But we had a very similar episode back then with Secret of My Excess. But I think that while the message was pretty similar, I think this episode took it a lot better.
Yeah. I don't think you have to do much to beat early Spike episodes.
True, that's very true. But it shows how well they finally learn how to write Spike.
That's fair.
Kind of, sort of.
All right, and editor.
Okay, I gotta say, I actually legitimately enjoyed this episode. Basically, it was. I mean, the plot of it was kind of basic. We mostly just follow Spike, which is good because he needs a few episodes where his plot points are actually good focused. Don't honestly. I'm glad that they didn't focus too much on like Rarity losing her hearing when it comes to stuff like that.
She also has to make sure to put her dentures in too.
Exactly. Yeah, she's an awful at this point. To be perfectly honest, when I was first watching these first few episodes of this season, I honestly didn't know Smolder was a girl.
No, yeah.
The eyelashes, babe.
Yeah,
I
well,
don't think I was sure right away either.
No.
Yeah, in retrospect to actually what you said, hang on one sec. There we go. Yeah, in retrospect to what you said, Day, about that Smolder wasn't exactly very helpful. To be fair, dragons are assholes to each other anyway. So, and she's only just starting to be more friendly.
And I'm also thinking like the female dragons has a lot more nice Molt Down and break up, right?
Yeah, which is ironically. If you're saying the female growing up is easier than the males, it's literally swapped.
I don't think there was any evidence about that presented at all.
Yeah,
they didn't actually say. I think they just said more that it was just in general.
Yeah,
okay.
Just saying like about growing up with them. But one thing that definitely it was thrown in there. I definitely see it being thrown in there in the last minute, but I absolutely enjoy it. Was The Rock.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Dwayne Johnson was brilliant in it.
Yes.
Mm.
But I actually looked up about The Rock, and originally I thought it was Greek mythology. It's not. It's Arabian mythology.
It's Arabian.
See it
Yeah.
in the story of Sinbad the Sailor.
Exactly. So the fact that this one, they thought of Sinbad for that, I don't understand the connection between the dragon and the rock kind of thing. But besides,
I think that in the episode they said that it like eats dragons.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's dragon eggs.
I know it's just that, but that one I just thought they
do
probably
that
had
in Middle Eastern mythology.
Yes, they do.
They're mostly known for eating, like, they're big enough that they can carry away elephants to eat,
Yep.
so...
Well, they could, I'm sure, but I mean, are dragons that are rock food in Middle Eastern mythology?
Hmm.
If
At
you
least
look it up, you'll
eggs,
probably
big
find something
eggs.
similar.
Yeah.
Probably, but either way.
On that.
But either way, I will say I did actually enjoy this episode. Good spot development, and it's actually the one thing that annoyed me every other time is the fact that they didn't change the intro to include his wings.
Oh,
After this
yeah,
episode.
that's true.
Well, they
didn't know
tried to
that.
hide his body, so...
Well, no, I mean, like, in the intro, he's holding a checklist, and then he walks back to let the main cast in. They haven't animated his wings in. It's like, that bit always annoyed me. It's like every single time the new intro comes on and Big Mac and the Sugar Bell are, like, nuzzling each other, the Times Crimson and I watched the episode, every time she saw that, she was just like, nah.
You shut up.
But that's what happens when you have a mid-season change, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair
That's
enough.
usually what happens, unless they like planned that, or they really want to put in the money to change it.
Yeah,
Because
of course they do.
If you just had like a second intro, just like with it edited, I mean, like it wouldn't take long, I'm assuming, to just draw a side view of a wing.
They don't want to pay people to do it.
that, and I think the only time where that's actually happened in like other shows, like mid-season stuff, is Mystery Incorporated, Scooby-Doo.
And I mean,
When Daphne left, they replaced Daphne's intro with hot dog water.
and like, after Radar's character left on MASH, Gary Berghoff was still credited for like the next 6 episodes.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Anyway,
It-
I
it
have to get
does
Omni
happen.
viewer's opinion on this episode, though. So, what did you
Yep.
think?
Well, I'm pretty much on the same page as everyone else. It's another good episode. Good Spike episodes are so rare in this show,
Yeah.
unfortunately. And we got a really bad one later on, but we won't talk about that one yet. So, I mean, there were a few things that got a little old, like people not understanding what he was saying when his voice got really raspy and low. But again, mostly good episode. Good how they actually tied in an explanation to Secret of My Excess as to why that didn't actually count as real dragon puberty. And
Shit, they at least remembered that, yeah.
Yeah.
and you know, also agree with editor that the Rock was a good addition, a nice sort of mythological creature you don't generally see, especially in animation these days.
Yeah.
The only missed opportunity was that they could have made it a 2-headed rock to reference the Ray Harryhausen movies.
Yeah, they should have done that.
I do like when the show makes use of its mythology, of its fantasy setting.
I think that's it's kind of fun to just have those bits in general, so you can go back and kind of go like, was this real? Is this a real thing that people thought or that people have? Like, is this real?
Yes, but it was interesting seeing Spike caught between a rock and a hard place. Someone had to say,
But I was gonna, in regards to what you just said about, did people just think about this on the spot? Is like Well, in mythology, you kind of think of that anyway. If you look at Greek mythology, half of the things they come up with, it's mind-bogglingly stupid.
It always comes from somewhere. Lots of people believe that the Hydra was based on the giant squid, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Or how there's a I think it's a fairy. I think what they call it a fairy, but it looks like a dragon. It sounds like a dragon. It breathes fire like a dragon, but it's not a dragon.
Or the best example is the basilisk. Because everyone always thinks the basilisk is a snake. It is the design of the basilisk is actually a cockatrice.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Well, but we need second as well on the episode.
I thought this was overall another good B-grade episode, but it did have to climb its way back from farther, I would say, than breakdown. There was some real hard-to-take cheese in this.
Yeah.
I mean, Rarity's hearing thing, it might not have been in there a ton. I don't know why it had to be in there at all.
Necessary. Yeah.
I mean, I didn't think that was funny.
Is it supposed to reference how old the voice actress is getting? If so, that's mean.
That is mean.
Yeah, that's mean, yeah.
But yeah, that, I didn't, like, I'm kind of with OmniViewer on Spike's low voice gags. I mean, this was really pushing the cheesy humor, but,
yeah.
I mean,
So you're saying it wasn't Gouda?
Exactly.
No, it was a monster of a time. I'll give you a marks for effort.
I beat Cheddar to it.
That was bad. You forgot to grade it. Moving on.
Yeah, moving on.
Alright, we'll give you marks for effort.
Yes.
But
There's that segue again.
No, I mean, I still thought that there were some legit good character moments in here. I mean, I appreciated like Spike getting to help save the day in his own episode, and also
that wasn't caused by him.
Yeah.
And also that what was it? Making time for a legit sweet moment between him and Twilight, and not having it be that Twilight has to bail him out first. I mean, well, okay, basically I'm grateful that it wasn't Owl's Well that ends well, where we had to deal with Spike redeeming absolutely nothing, but still getting the sweet, I love you, Spike ending.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Or having Twilight be completely oblivious.
Oh, yeah.
But no, yeah, that, I thought Smolder's thing with him was really nice. I actually think that's a great example of, playing the cards you have on the table, taking advantage of, having her around, and, thought the Rock was fun. I thought giving him a checkup at Zakura's, Spike that is, I had some fun with that. Still thought the attempts to be funny were a little cheesy, a little forced. The puberty was a little bit played up in ways that just seemed like, ooh, how much of an unfunny gag can we make this? But,
body humor, you gotta love it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean,
But then you remember, oh wait, puberty itself was kind of unpleasant, so...
Yeah.
anything can be, I think anything can be made funny. This was not the example of how to do it, I don't think. Like, it was obvious, it obviously wanted to be very funny, and I don't think it had many answers for how to do that other than amp it up even more.
Like, over-dramatize how much puberty was. I think we had that already in Ned Declassified School Survival Guide.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. And we do remember the banana.
So how about marks for effort? Daylover.
I'm not that fond about this episode, and like I like the premise about the CMC trying to help Cozy Glow and all of that. That's fine, and her manipulating them to actually make them try to get in the school or flunk out of the school. I never got her
get in the school
get into it.
Not good enough.
Yeah, but like I must admit I'm thinking like she already there. She's manipulating other ponies to do what she wants, but still like it's not in her. How could it be in her good interest to get them in the school if she wants to take over it later? But again, like I'm thinking too much about it. I like the CMCs in the episode, and I think like they're helping good, and we can see how far they have come. But why they wanted to start on the school and stuff like that is like I know like they explain it and stuff like that, but I still think like, yeah, you are already like above that, or how is that said? Like I don't know.
They're more advanced in those types of lessons. I think is how they explained it.
Yes. Next.
Crimson.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the episode. It was kind of fun. It was definitely within the CMC's characters to be like this. Because I've heard like some people are going like, oh, you know, they're not in character. This is out of character for them, and I'm like, really?
Well, how is it out of character for them? They're helping.
They want to. Their whole thing is like, oh, it's out of character for them to want to be at the school with they're so like this. It's basically their job anyway. They've like basically already graduated. Cozy Glow. I want to confirm right now, I am not related to her in any fucking way.
Oh. I thought it was,
I mean, obviously, because she almost succeeded.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck you.
Oh.
They get hot in here because Crimson just got burned.
That's my job, Crimson.
We gotta get into it now. But in all seriousness, though, Cozy Glow is kind of one of those characters where I was instantly like, she's going to turn out to be evil.
You can even tell that from one of the speeches that she said.
Yeah.
I was
One of the things she said.
I watched it with Joe. I watched it with the editor, and he and I were watching it, and I was like, she's going to be evil.
Like, yep, yeah, she's just predictably evil.
No, like you were just like, how is she going to be evil? And I'm over here going like, babe, she's evil. But as far as like the episode itself goes, I think that the premise of it, it's kind of alright. It's alright. It's not the best episode that I've seen or most other seasons, but it's definitely one of the CMC episodes that were written better than most other ones I've seen. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, to be honest, most of the things that have already been said about this episode have already been said from what I thought. But honestly, CMCs, as usual, trying to be helpful. Someone needs help, and like Crum said, I didn't obviously see at first that. Well, obviously, much as we know that she is going to be a villain and stuff like that. But I just thought, I did at one point just think it odd, the fact that she had like that evil glare in her face when it was on about getting into the school. And it's like, that was a bit out of place. Now it doesn't seem out of place, but in that one part when they're just trying to assume that she's good, it was out of place.
Yeah.
For the rest of it, though, it honestly doesn't make any. It doesn't make any sense. It's the fact that she wants to get in. That's fine. The CMCs can't get in because they're already too good. What? Like, where's the sense in that you can always learn more? And the fact that in the end they're deciding to be professors themselves, and it's like no, Just all the way no. Like if all of a sudden a smart kid started teaching at like one of the colleges or the universities that you're at as one of your professors, you wouldn't take that seriously.
No,
It's like I don't take this seriously. The only thing that I take seriously in all of this was the one meme that we got from Starlight. I cannot tell you how many people. I cannot tell you how many people I know who use the "I see" meme as their profile picture. I've got Cloud Brony doing it. I've got Wooten Blooming doing it. I've got Goodman knows how many goddamn people just doing that. That to me was the pudding meme at the time.
The pudding. We still haven't seen that, by the way. We still haven't watched.
I mean, apart from that, it was just an episode that was out there. Nothing really to remember about that.
Omniviewer.
Well, here's a question. If you wouldn't take it seriously if a fellow student of yours was suddenly teaching at your school, would that be the problem of the teacher or the problem of the student?
No, I'm on about the fact that they're kids teaching.
Well, like you stole.
That's not really an answer to my question.
If kids came into your classroom and have a presentation and you have to listen to them, right? It happens.
Yeah, but not leading a lesson.
If they're qualified, though?
Yeah.
I think that's... as somebody who's actually taught several classes for kids as I was a kid, I argue that that's not the point. Being in the Young Marines, we were taught, hey, you got to teach a class to these kids about this subject, about this plan. Do you have a product? Do you have a product you have to put out? Are there examples? Do you have a presentation? How long does it have to be? How long are you going to make it? These are things that you're going to have to teach. And it really depends on the environment. Sometimes it requires an adult. Other times it requires just somebody who has more experience than you.
Yeah.
That's fine if it comes down to experience, but the difference is you were teaching the kids, weren't you?
These were also kids my age.
Okay, exactly. Your age.
The youngest one was about... The youngest of them was probably about 10. Oldest of them was older than me at the time, which was about 17.
Yes.
And I taught kids that were both older and younger than me.
Yeah. That also
it really depends on your authority, and since the CMC actually technically have way more authority than the rest of the young six, I think is what they're called.
Yes.
I think it's easy if we just call the younger six or the young six, one or the other.
Yeah.
The kids that are actually at the school.
Or the students.
The students that are actually at the school, they are able to process, this is somebody who actually has experience in the subject that I'm in.
Yeah. And the CMC is not the worst ones to look up to.
No, I think Flim and Flam are, but...
Yeah. Get them to teach at the school.
That's a different episode.
So, Omniviewer. Sorry we took over.
Hey, I'm the one who asked the question. I was wanting to see what people's thoughts were. But, for my own part, honestly, I've kind of almost forgot about the episode, if I'm being perfectly honest. I'm looking it up again now. And I don't know, I was one of those people who thought at first that maybe people were being a bit too suspicious of Cozy, because I'm not entirely sure the episode, excuse me, gave enough of a hint that she was actually up to no good. I mean, we certainly got more hints later, but...
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I wasn't looking for it, but... I mean, otherwise, as far as episodes that are about kids trying to get into a school as opposed to trying to get out of it, which is about as unrealistic a concept as I've ever seen in a fantasy series.
You clearly have never.
That's true.
Yes, in a world filled
clearly have never seen the
colored
Recess
ponies,
movie.
that is the most unrealistic thing in the entire
Yeah.
Hold on. You're saying kids trying to get into a school is unrealistic?
Mm.
My
Like,
experiences with schools have not been good ones.
I was going to say,
No,
like, the
mine
Recess
neither.
movie where they're trying to break into the school, or Big Hero 6 where he's trying to be smart in order to go to a school.
Yeah, but then he
Well,
avoids the
that's a
school
college,
afterward.
though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little different when it's a high school.
Yeah.
This is wait, what is this? This is Friendship University, isn't it?
This,
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Friendship
Mhm.
University, but it's
More
a
because they
college.
need a fancy title for it than because it's not an elementary school. I feel like it, or at least I'm of the impression
Well, it's not
that
accredited,
supposed
so.
to be a school for
Yeah.
kids, not
Yeah.
a place where you get a degree, a post-grad degree.
Well, that then comes up later when at the very last episode when Twilight's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And they're like, "Oh, we're practicing our walk because clearly we're all done. We saved the world." And Twilight's like, "You
Yeah.
realize that you never stop learning." And then this episode then becomes kind of redundant by that.
I say though,
Later.
I've got to admit though, I am way up there with you never stop learning because, like I've always said, being working in childcare, you never do stop learning. You've got techniques, you've got the different children that come from different areas, different beliefs, different languages, different ways and how they interact. You can never stop learning.
Yes.
So for example, Krim, you and your drawing. You have your style right now, don't you?
Right now, yeah, but it's constantly evolving.
Exactly. You're constantly learning new styles. So,
Yeah. On the subject of this particular episode, Cozy Glow, when it came to her little master plan, do you think that this beginning episode was like smart, or was it kind of dumb and overcomplicated?
you couldn't even tell she was.
I had like I don't remember ever having a high opinion of anything Cozy did in this episode. I thought it was real, like made no sense and was real odd. Like,
Yeah,
why
that's
would
what I said.
anyone think this was a good idea? Why would anyone believe that anyone would believe this was a good idea? Like,
Yeah.
To quote Tricky Fox, why is the main villain a child?
I think Omnivore, I didn't hear your
factor into
opinion.
anything that she does or that happens to her other than being accepted to the school.
Yeah.
She was already accepted into the school. That wasn't the problem.
Yeah.
The problem was that she was going to fail.
Yes.
Okay, but yeah, her being in the school at all, okay, other than that, how is, like, is there any reason for her to be a child, or does that even compute?
Because she's a child, she's naive, she understands things not as well as other people.
Is she not?
To a certain extent.
But like that's what she wants you to.
I don't know if she's naive, but she clearly doesn't understand the way things are supposed to be.
Yes.
Yeah. When I first saw this episode, when I was telling to myself, yeah, she's totally evil. Yeah, she's totally evil. She's going to be the villain. And I think part of my thinking was, why is she doing this? And why is it supposed to be smart? And then I realized later down the line, you kind of see how much more involved she gets with the teaching staff after that.
Yeah.
So this is like her in.
Yes.
So I was like, okay, that's kind of smart.
That's
Lots
a little
smarter than
convoluted.
what Chrysalis does in the next episode.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know about that. Like, I think the more likely result here, 9 times out of 10, is that the students she does this to, like, say, "What the heck? You're an idiot. Of course we don't want to be your friend now."
Yeah. You should have said that.
I don't even think they got to confront Cozy. Like the CMC didn't even confront Cozy after this.
Nope.
Well, within this episode, they do confront her in, well, not about this, but they do talk to each other about it in the last episodes.
Yes, that's true. Did you have more on me?
No, I'm pretty much set.
Okay. Second.
Like, after I first saw this, I had reasons why, like, okay, it wasn't the worst. It's, had at least some perks, and I'm sure that's still true. I just can't rightly remember what they are. Like, I don't know. This is one of those ones where I'm like, okay, I guess technically I can't say it's, unacceptable or anything like that, but I probably wouldn't have much fun rewatching this. I still don't think Cozy's plan was anything but kind of awkward and kind of weird. The thing about, the Crusaders wanting into the school, but they can't because they know too much. It kind of shines a spotlight on how absurd this concept is. A friendship school, a school where characters have to spend all day doing nothing but being taught how to be friends, how to be good friends. Like,
almost like a finishing school if you think about it.
Yeah.
It's a diplomat school.
Like, we
I'm
actually have
sure you can tie a lot of
like that.
parallels, and to its credit, the season did try to do that a few times. Like, it did try to maintain the illusion that this is not, we made Twilight the princess of friendship, so friendship has to be some official disposition now, and there are only so many ways to obscure the fact that that's, basically the heart of the cards. Then,
were you going to say obfuscate?
Yes.
Ooh.
That's how you say it.
Thank you. Okay. Obfuscate the fact that, that's basically the heart of the cards, that believing in friendship gives you all sorts of incredible powers and such. It's, you're not friends just because that's a very nice thing to be, even if it requires several such and such morals.
Maybe we need
because
such
it will make you
life.
invincible.
Yeah.
So Dragon Ball Z.
Yay.
Well, except I don't remember their power coming from friendship.
It came from
Let's be real. A lot of their power comes from friendship and Goku.
I thought Yu-Gi-Oh! Was the go-to, all your power comes from friendship and not from where the ability to win a card game would actually come from.
I think it's Yu-Gi-Oh!, Dragon Ball Z, Sailor Moon, and like those are like the top 3 when it comes to these things. You're just gonna cut this out, and it'll be like a little bit of text going like 10-20 minutes after talking about going on our tangent. Anyway.
Good idea. But no, it's still more interesting than this episode, because I don't think there was really much to it. It was an awkward start for Cozy Glow. I agree with editor that this was kind of an odd way to start out her secretly evil motif, because the way they try to weave it in just comes across like they're confused, like they're not sure what note they want to play with her. It doesn't really read as ominous or anything like that. Her plan, like for this episode's explanation for it, the later explanation for it, they're both kind of awkward.
She herself is awkward.
Yeah, well, I felt like I at least got what they were going for when she finally puts her plan into action, and I thought in spite of the fact that, hey, she's cute and evil, like, that's a gimmick that's been done 100,000 times, but...
Yes, hasn't it just?
I But
Why are you saying it like that?
I don't know, future evil overlord.
That was one picture I made, like, I want to say 2 years ago now?
2 years ago, roughly.
2 years ago. I made that thing like 2 years ago. Fuck, let it go.
Let it go.
Jeff.
let it go, let it go.
I will rip out your fucking incrinoids.
Mine or somebody else's who said something goofy.
Yes.
Yes.
Alright, cool. Alright, so... But, yeah, just... I guess if I'm going to be fair, if I had to try to force myself to remember whatever it was that I said, like, okay, this episode's not terrible, just not particularly fun to watch.
It doesn't stand out.
I think it's the Crusaders working with Cozy Glow, just how we get to see more examples of them being good at their job and having nice character moments for themselves. I mean, but I'm also with Omni in that I barely remember it, so I can't guarantee that that's true.
Nice.
Yeah. So, going on to the next episode then?
Next episode.
Unfortunately.
Alright, we'll try to, wind it back down to one sentence summaries when we go around. We've been drifting away from those a little bit, so. Okay. The Mean Six. Dayla.
Oh, it's me. Like, I didn't like most of it. Like, I really love the ending where they're melting because they're looking at the ark. Excuse me, the tree. But I think, like, Chrysalis was hit with a little bit of a stupid stick in this. Sorry to say. I thought about her being a really good manipulator before and other times and stuff like that, and making the Mean Six is actually a pretty good idea. It's just the way that she uses it or not uses it, or how to say that's a little like, I'll not say weird for me. It's just like I could have gotten a better thing out of the episode, and the Mean Six being sucked up by the tree, we don't see anything about that. Maybe we'll see that in the future, episodes, but I just think it was a waste, yeah. The next.
Okay, Crimson.
I have a love-hate relationship with this.
Ooh.
I have a love-hate relationship. I hate how it was executed. I love the concept. But it was but I agree with a Day Lover, it was such a wasted opportunity. I wish that they had flushed this out. Like, this would have been such a great little thing that comes up later on. But everything else about it, it's kind of just really awkward.
Yeah.
Alright, editor.
It was hyped up God knows how much with the animatic, and I honestly thought, that's going to be the season finale. And it's like, it's episode 13? Oh, alright then. Alright, let's see how this goes. Oh, she's hardly in it. She makes tree clones, and she's basically recreating the comics. Wow. How boring. That's literally it. It was boring.
That's it?
Yeah, that's literally it. There's nothing redeemable about. There's nothing redeemable about this. Just
not even the melting in the end.
That was gruesome, though.
That was great.
Okay, yeah. I was gonna say the melting part. That animation was good. I'll admit that. Starlight looking dressed up like a hobo carrying everything. That was kind of funny. Because she's never been camping before, so it's literally like she's pulling a rarity. Apart from that, they're basically recreating the comics in the show. That's it.
Except the comic for it was actually...
Yeah, the comic was Unreformed Changelings. This is just tree clones.
Yeah, it would have made more sense if it was Changelings, I guess.
It's like if she casts some kind of spell to hatch newer changelings and teach them how to act like this from what she knows.
Mm.
I mean, like we've seen in the previous episode where they actually did try to act as best they could from what knowledge they knew, but no.
Well then.
Omni?
Viewer.
Well, looks like I'm going to be the odd man out here because I actually don't mind the episode at all. And actually, I totally buy that Chrysalis would become sort of incompetent at this point. Because, I mean, she had this grand victory where she beat her archenemies, and then she was taken down by the B-list characters and basically lost everything as a result. So I could definitely see that driving her a little nuts to the point where her brain doesn't quite work as well as it otherwise would have. So I don't necessarily think she was hit with a stupid stick. I think she was more driven a little bit crazy by such a really bad defeat.
So you're saying it was an inspiration plan to make the insects out of the trees?
Yeah, I think the whole point is that she wasn't supposed to be an effective villain anymore. They used her twice where she was super effective, but she's been beaten twice by now. And I guess one of the few ways you can still keep her around is to portray her as maybe a joke at this point, because she suffered some pretty humiliating defeats. Both times, come to think of it, not by the main characters. So,
I mean, kind of.
Yeah, kind of.
The first time in a roundabout way, it was by the main characters because it was Twilight that was like, "Hey, shh, go say goodbye," and then the power of love.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I like the first time Twilight found her out in the first place.
But all the same, it's usually the villains actually do present some kind of obstacle in this show. So to have an episode where the villain not only isn't a proper obstacle, but the heroes are completely unaware of her the whole time, I mean, it shook things up, certainly.
Yeah, that's true.
I'll give you that.
Every now and then you need a little something like that to just break the formula a little. Whether or not it has universal appeal, I mean, that's different.
So she wins 0 on our asses.
Yeah, that's true.
That's about where I stand on it.
Nice. And for me, this is one of my favorite episodes of the entire season. B+.
How is this a favorite?
Yeah, I was waiting for that because I knew that.
Plot twists.
Yep. B+.
Ooh.
Plus.
But yeah, I mean, I'm kind of more with Omniviewer. I mean, I think that I'm sorry for you if you wanted a Chrysalis' effective episode, but I mean, I'm all for taking what you got on its own terms, not necessarily accepting everything you get, but yeah, taking it on its own terms. And I mean, I thought it was for that kind of a fun bit of character interplay. The mean six were entertaining. The main six. I'm honestly kind of missing episodes like this where we just get to see them as a group. Not have to be almost like transparently sentimental, just act like a group of friends acts. And honestly, not only do I not mind that Chrysalis is not a come to within an inch of winning kind of villain in this episode, I'm honestly not even sure if I see the she's so incompetent argument. I mean, she has lost, after having lost her whole hive, her what basically every resource she used to be a main villain, I'm kind of like, okay, well, yeah, what was she supposed to do? Like, I mean, I think it's almost presented as a long shot. I mean, I honestly think it's moderately impressive that she even has something to try at this point. I mean, if it she technically would have succeeded if it weren't for the fact that the tree got the mean 6 and said file doesn't match, and
File doesn't match.
Deleted it.
No, it had a firewall.
Yeah, it had a firewall.
So the entire episode they were just blue screened in the eyes.
More a red ring of death.
But I mean, no, I thought it was an okay way to keep her in the game. That okay, she's rebuilding. She's still at least powerful enough where she can come back and try something. It's just she's not ready to return to full prominence just yet. And lucky for her, the main 6 did not, witness her mothballed attempt, and she's still able to go back to the drawing board and try again. And I'm trying to remember the last. I mean, I guess having not read that particular comic, this reminded me most of Discord corrupting them back in Return of Harmony, the main 6, and I thought they were at least as entertaining as they were then. Got the best of it, the nasty Fluttershy, Pie who doesn't like to laugh. But we didn't have to deal with any. Oh no, Applejack is her opposite because she says some things that are technically not true, that nobody has any reason to believe are true, so some things. I mean, granted, Return of Harmony is a better episode than this one, but I'm not saying it just so nobody accuses me of going that far here, but I mean...
Yes, you'll have pitchforks in your house.
Yeah, probably.
They're just going to give him pitchforks. We can't be bothered to riot, so we'll do this instead.
Pitchfork yourself.
That's like the biggest prank. That's the biggest prank next to sending pizzas to somebody's house.
Yeah, sending pitchforks. That's great.
But all in all, I thought it was entertaining. I thought it had character interplay. I thought it was a way that made sense as how you keep Queen Chrysalis in the game, a way to check in with her, see what she's up to. I guess an example of why it's still not a great episode. I mean, that, it is kind of an even-paced sort of a thing. I mean, as much as you could argue that's something like Return of Harmony is not as tightly written, that one still went for, it went for that A grade a few times. I mean, it tried to, really push some morals with the whole corruption plot, with the visuals, with the comedy, and, I mean, it clearly tried harder than this one did, but I mean, I don't think that's to say this one didn't try, but it was fun enough. Time.
Well, yeah.
But, I don't know, it seems like that's already more than anybody cared to talk about this one.
I mean, I like the concept. I liked some of the comedy in it. The major problem with it for me was just that I don't think it went to its full potential.
Yeah, I agree with Crimson, yeah.
I can agree, So it is more a sign of a mark on the season we're in that, this ended up as one of my favorite episodes. A bit of a backhanded compliment, but it's like if I'm, lecturing the season in this episode, like, what about me? You be quiet, you're not the problem here.
It's just a matter of principle.
Hi. And speaking of which, what did you think of that episode, Daylover?
Yeah, I didn't like this. I do think like there's some fun thing that Discord does, but it's like math
matter of
from.
principles. Let's. Oh no, wait, I'm wrong.
Oh.
Okay, it is the. No, I was thinking of Friendship University. So
No.
continue
No,
This
that's
one
I
is.
think
with your brief summary.
Yes. Discord does some stuff with the school and stuff like that. I just think like it could have been done better. The only funny thing is like where they figure out the main six that they actually were sent on a goose chase and come. I think like that's funny, and it's also a little interesting with having the items and the students are going to find them. But elsewise, I'm forgetting this episode. I'm sorry. I just like it wasn't my episode. So yeah, next.
I guess that's my turn then.
Yeah.
Okay, matter of principles. I love the ending.
Yes.
I hate the rest of it.
All right.
So almost the same page as me.
Pretty much. I mean, I enjoyed the scavenger hunt. That was fun.
Yeah.
Also, Starlight showed just how terrifying she was in this episode. Freaking Kamehameha
dictator mode if she wants.
But I think the biggest problem was just that Discord didn't feel like his usual character. He's been a dick before. I think they even acknowledged this in the episode that he's been a dick before, but not to this degree of assholery.
That's true. Yeah.
I doubt they said it that way. But.
No, but
Crimson's saying it the best way though.
Shit.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like when we talked about this episode with Ninja DC, his React group, he made a pretty good point that it seemed like this episode was trying to strong arm in the Q connection again.
Yeah.
Discord is Q. He tests his friends.
But then that comes into the fact that Starlight calls his bullshit, saying that you aren't trying to test me or anything. This is you legitimately being upset, and I need to think less like a head mayor and more like a counselor.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think was the nicest part of the episode, where Discord did really truly feel bad about it, and it did feel like a nice moment. But the rest of the episode just kind of falls flat for me. Aesthetically, it's all right. It's nice to see some of that crazy Discord stuff that we used to see, but overall, it just didn't help anything.
For the record, I'm not saying that it succeeds because of that, and neither was DC, but it does seem like that's what the writers were going for, at least.
Yeah.
Drifting away from the summary here, though, so, okay, editor. From everybody's summary.
Well, Starlight trying to keep everything together. That was okay, that was alright. The way she went literal power crazy. That was unbelievably beautiful to witness that.
I will agree with that.
Discord was not himself.
Mm-hmm.
He was, as Crumbs already said, okay, basically this one is, if he's a reformed bad guy, so you're already expecting them to have little bits that can fall back. What was his motivation for being an absolute ass in this?
I think, if I remember correctly, it was supposed to be that he
was jealous.
And he felt hurt that he wasn't chosen because he thought he'd been through so much more with the main six than Starlight had. I believe that's what it was.
Well, I will be included.
Yeah. I've seen that before.
One, then, how did he first find out about this in the first place? And the rest of it's literally, this episode is just rageful. Out of every single episode I've ever seen throughout season 8, that I'm going to say season 8 is the worst season of them all. right now, because I still have some hate towards the other episodes. Not as much now, ever since I've watched episode 6. But this one, Jesus Christ. I mean, I can remember me and Krim watched this, and I remember after it was finished, you literally said, "What the fuck did we just watch?"
Yeah, I did.
Literally, it was one of the most rageful pieces of shit I've ever watched in my life.
Tell us how you really feel, honey.
I feel like you're holding back a bit.
This is how I actually feel. Ready?
Oh boy.
Babe, no. The kids are here.
I think it's a little too late for the kids.
Okay, so now that I and my editing booth have cut out that 20 minutes of screaming profanities, how about Omniviewer's turn?
Is my microphone not working?
Yeah, we can hear you if that's what you mean.
Yeah. I mean, did you just hear what I just did?
Yes. Omni's turn.
You did the...
No, I just headbutted my desk.
Yes.
Oh.
I hear
It
it.
sounds like
made
you
that
just
sound.
moved your chair or something.
Yeah, it did.
I thought you headbutted your mic, but...
This is why you always hire good Foley artists.
All right, Omni.
And your opinion, Omni.
I'm kind of in the same boat as other people who say this isn't really a favorite of mine. It always kind of feels odd, especially at this particular stage when Discord is a jerk for very poorly defined reasons. Like, I was kind of expecting the reason he was messing with Starlight was something completely different than what it turned out to be. Like, I thought, what did I even think? Because it was so completely in the opposite direction of what happened. I felt like he was trying to show her that she couldn't do it all on her own and she needed help, but it turned out it was simply because he wanted to be her replacement. And I don't know, that just didn't feel right as a way of going about it.
I do agree.
I think the way it could have been better would be if Starlight had been like, hey, I can totally do this on my own. And kind of similarly to when Fluttershy did, it was Lean In, right? Fluttershy leans in, where she wants to build a sanctuary. I think it would have been good to kind of bring back that kind of thought process, like, hey, we've already called up some replacements for our classes, watch that. And then she goes like, I don't need to call them. I don't need to call. I don't need to send a letter. I can do this all on my own. We're good. And then have Discord kind of messing in the classes.
Yes. That could have been a little better, yeah.
I think that would have made it work a lot better, but overall, yeah.
Who were the professors that they brought in again? I forgot.
One of them was Trixie, I know that.
Yeah, one was Trixie, one was Iron Will.
And one was Cranky Doodle Donkey.
For some reason.
My tea's too hot, too cold, too tea flavored. Waka waka waka.
God damn it.
I was thinking that was going more Courage the Cowardly Dog moment at that point.
Yeah.
My cheese macaroni! Perfect! I hate cheese and macaroni.
Yeah, and that line, that was a lot funnier in Courage the Cowardly Dog because they understood comedic timing in that episode.
That and he was a baby.
Burn.
That and what?
That and he was literally a baby.
That was Muriel, a she.
Oh, I thought
Muriel was a baby.
Oh, Muriel. I can't talk today. I can never talk usually. Let's be real. God. But yeah, I believe Now it is the second opinion, right? Or no? Did you already go?
No.
Oh, I didn't. So yeah, my take, ditto. Yeah, thought this episode had, a couple nice moments, to be fair. The Starlight guidance counseling Discord at the end, but it seemed like they were really trying to force in a lot of hijinks. Discord messing stuff up, Starlight trying to power her way through what we know she's not going to be able to. It feels like one of those thin excuses for conflict. It didn't feel thought out enough, didn't feel fun enough, vivid enough, anything but hijinks motivated enough to really have a reason to exist. Even the way it ends, like, you can kind of tell how much it doesn't care. Like, I guess you don't get to join in with, like you wanted to. I guess you don't get to be assistant guidance counselor or whatever he was going to be after all. And how does this episode fade out after taking all of its time to get to that moral? Oh, true. And I had cards too. And that's the ending. He had cards.
Just the cards. Whatever.
Yeah, but what you don't know, fun fact,
yes,
all
so
the
does
cards
you.
that he had. Fun fact, all those cards that he had was Twilight's secret shipfic folder.
Oh yeah, plot twist.
Plot twist. That was the real plot twist. Alright, are we going to the next one now?
Yeah, it seems like that is pretty straightforward what we thought there. The next one is the Hearthswarming Club.
Yeah.
Good.
Day.
Yeah, I like this episode, and I really feel for Gallus. I don't feel like it was necessary to give them that harsh of a punishment, but elsewise, I really like the episode and their small stories about how they're holding Christmas and like basic rituals that they have. And I see like some rituals that are to actually Danish and Norse tradition, but I'm moving along with the next one before I go too much onto a tangent. Yeah? Next.
Okay.
Alright.
This is actually one of my favorite episodes. I think that the pacing was really well done. I think that the mystery was kind of fun too. I think what I liked most is the fact that they took each of the kids at least one at a time by themselves, and then we don't get to see the talk. We don't get to see the interrogation, which was fun because then we get to focus on mostly the kids. And I honestly don't think that it was that bad of a punishment. Oh, you have to stay here for Christmas. I'm sure that they could be like, hey, yeah, let's just like have the kids' families come here and then we can talk to them about this. And it's not exactly a trope in like boarding school-esque areas where this is like an uncommon thing. They did this for a Christmas Carol. Yeah. And it was just like every year on Christmas he was left on his own, and then suddenly, brother dearest, you're coming home this Christmas. Oh boy.
Bully.
It's not exactly something I'm not used to with this kind of premise. And I think what I liked most is that Gladys. Yeah. Yes. Gladys. He was the most interesting to me in this episode because he was like, I want to have friends, damn it.
Didn't you say Gladys?
It's Gallus.
Gallus?
Actually, yeah.
You said GLaDOS.
I said GLaDOS, Gallus. I was like going like, hey, which one is right?
Well, one of them is a hippogriff. The other one constantly says the cake is a lie.
All right then.
Can't see him saying that.
No, he's not a hippogriff. He's a griffin.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
the
Exactly.
hippogriff
So,
is the one who the hyperactive girl.
Silverstream, right?
Silver Scream.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Silver Stream. But overall, I really enjoyed the episode. I think the only thing that I kind of felt was wrong was maybe the fact that Twilight and Dash kind of were both like, "Who did it?" We were just waiting for you to confess, even though we already knew. I think that was the only thing that kind of was like.
Oh.
Otherwise, my favorite episode. One of my favorite episodes.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And that, editor.
Now, my track record with season 8 has got to say that there's not a lot of episodes in this that I actually like. But the one thing that I do like is this entire episode incarnate. Because I'm taking this from a childcare perspective. One of the main things that you have to learn in childcare is about discrimination, on how you don't go against anybody else's beliefs or things that they do because they don't do the same things that you do. This entire episode was all about the different ways on how holidays are celebrated. And I mean, I can honestly see how each and every single one of them is in relation to it, because you've got Ocellus, who are people who come over from a different belief to try and get used to the belief that the country that they're in is trying to. So, say for example, if you come from another country and you decide to start celebrating Christmas, you do the best that you can do from there. You've got those who celebrate Christmas, being the ponies kind of way. Then you've got the yaks and the dragons celebrating in a completely different way than what you're expecting. Definitely, because it's not something that you like show. Like one of them, just for example, can be Hanukkah, because it's not celebrating the same thing the same way anybody else does. One can be another country just simply celebrating a simple event. And then you've got another one, which is obviously Silverstream, celebrating and rejoicing over the fact that after so much toil and horridness happening, that you can finally appreciate freedom. And then you've got Gallus, who honestly I think represents the atheists, those who don't believe and don't have any kind of like religion or celebration, and therefore they've got nothing to do with that. But overall, the fact that each and every single one of them can talk to one another, and that's probably why. I mean, I obviously know that this is staged, but I think it was staged for that purpose, so that they could all come together and bring out the message in saying that it doesn't matter what religion you're from or what you celebrate, you're all together no matter what.
Sounds like it spoke to you.
It did speak. It spoke to me in a lot of ways. It spoke to me in the same way that what was it called now? Readers and Weep kind of spoke to me. If anything, I would.
Rainbow Dash finally admits she likes reading episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
If I'd have to say it, it would have to be Read It and Weep first. Baby Cakes second, as second. Surfing or Turf as third, and the Hearts Warming Club. That would be my fourth favorite episode in the entire show, because of this reason. Because it teaches, because it basically says you don't need to discriminate other people just because they don't celebrate the same things you do. Yes, you can have a bit of a laugh and joke about it sometimes, as you can basically say like that with any religion or any belief, that there's always jokes. to say about it, but as long as you're like together in the end, you can always come together and enjoy things together, even if you're not from that cultural background.
I thought that Gallus was based on the little match girl from 18.
I didn't get the atheist part at all. I just think it was the fact that he didn't have a structured home to come from.
He didn't have family.
And Griffins don't celebrate anything anyway.
I mean, they kind of do.
They kind of do.
They gather around and try not to hate each other.
Yeah, it's basically that's what he said.
It's like Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, if we're
like
going
every
on
other
about, if we're going over different, if we're going over different, like who you think can represent each other, I don't know why, but I honestly think Yona represents, like, obviously not in the same way, but I honestly think that Yona is the way that celebrates a traditional German Christmas.
Yeah, close.
Not the fact, obviously, because you go around smashing things. That obviously doesn't make any sense.
No,
It's like saying, so today is Christmas. We shall all go in the tiger tank and ram down the next door neighbor's house. It doesn't work like that, but it's morely towards the traditional things on now that you have celebrated this together. You can get like a tradition to have like present, to have like a gift from your entire family and coming together knowing that you are all as one, which is something that my family is a few times. I mean, I don't think we did it when... Actually, no, we did do that when you came around, but...
Yes, we did. We should probably speed this up a little bit.
Alright, I'm the viewer.
I have to follow that diatribe?
Yes, you do. Unfortunately, I'm sorry.
It was a good episode.
Okay.
Alright. Good enough.
Well, I'm so sorry that the episode touched me. Yeah.
Actually, this episode upholds my Hearth's Warming Eve episode tradition to a T.
Yay.
The episodes, they have usually some kind of a framing device, or at least in the case of Hearthbreakers, some kind of sort of gimmick. They have a good dose of heart. They have a moral that is at least worth sticking by, and it, again, like all of them, is entirely solid and unspectacular to me.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, I was about to say, like, I'm not necessarily grading for moral, but no, like, okay, a moral can push a story to the next level here, but I mean, I guess just what the first Hearth's Warming episode, the very first one, I mean, I don't know if it's the moral or the resolution, but yeah, the dose of heart it adds in at the end was probably the best part. The coming together at the end was probably the best part for me here, but I mean, like, yeah, the anthology tale, the various stories that, some were funnier than others, but I mean, I had at least some fun with all of them. I just felt like it was, solid montage of tales. I felt like Gallus resorting to a glue bomb because he, wanted everybody to have to stay at the school with him was, it felt a bit forced in there, but, I mean, all in all, I just, it's such a small difference between what I think of all the Hearth's Warming episodes. I mean, I guess I like this better than the, Christmas Carol one in Season 6. And maybe better than Hearthbreakers too, but I mean, yeah, just kind of like Omniviewer said, I thought it was good.
I thought it was good.
Yeah.
I guess, like, as much as, I mean, I felt like it, like, incorporating Gallus opening up, I mean, I could have fell for it more than I did, but I mean, I did think they did a solid job on it, him just kind of matter-of-factly, like, opening up. What about Grandpa Gruff? That's just his name. He's not actually anyone's grandpa.
I think that was my favorite joke in there.
As far as anyone knows.
Do you know what I can actually think of when it comes to that?
Got one relative that everybody knows in the family, but you don't know how they're related to you at all?
No, I was actually thinking of the Jackie Chan adventures.
Oh.
Cool.
Because there's that one episode where they meet Jade's parents and they're like, Uncle! And he's like, is Uncle everyone's uncle? It says, actually, he's our cousin. Aren't you? And even they don't know.
Oh, that's funny.
We don't know! It's so funny, though. Like,
He even
you
addresses
always have that one
himself as
relative.
Uncle.
Yeah.
Come closer to Uncle.
Yeah, it's like, Uncle! Uncle! Yes, Uncle? What happened? You had such a whooping! Is that just his name, Uncle?
Jelly.
What?
And I think the audience is crying uncle now.
Alright, fine.
Listen to Uncle!
On to Friendship University.
Yes.
Yay!
Because it's this opportunity in this very community. They love her what you think of this episode.
Friendship University, what do you think?
I really liked it, actually. I think it was funny to see Flim and Flam again and having all of this non-stop going on with their plans to make whatever. I think like the best is like them getting Starsworld actually on their kind of sort of on their side. But I also like nayser in this one. Think he was a little funny. Like I see their bigger schemes and they're getting actually a lot better at it, or so I thought they were going to get better at it. The only thing I actually don't like in it is Twilight and Rarity, and I'm sorry for that. But
Why are you sorry? Don't apologize.
It's just like I don't like them dressing up, and like of course Flim and Flam are going to stop them and take pictures of like what do they expect? Like also like Twilight said with like this is not disguising me at all. So yeah, but I'm going on for too long. Next.
I think that it's funny how I think the funniest thing is that this is the most accurate to anybody's experience in college.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
What, they just vacuum all of your money for their own sake?
Ooh,
What?
burn.
You mean how they just vacuum away all your money for their own sake?
That's true.
Yes.
You pay an arm and a leg, the shirt off your back for half a book.
Having loans and everything.
like if anybody has gone to college, or if you're going to college, this is one of the major things that you are going to come across, and that's the fact that the textbooks cost almost as much as the classes.
Mm-hmm.
Which is fucked up. I know that. So, on a personal level, this was like, oh my god, they're covering the conspiracy. But then it was the homework, and I'm like, aww. Overall, the episode was kind of. It was just a fun episode. I liked the interaction between Rarity and Twilight, and I found that it was a nice twist that Starsworld the Bearded was like, dude, this is awesome. You told me to learn, and I found a school to do it in.
Yeah, so
like
for them,
Twilight
funny.
really kind of sad, going like, but why didn't you go to my school? And he's like, well, you taught me to learn on my own.
Yeah, that's true.
Which, to be fair, is exactly what she said.
Yeah. And
so he's upset because he's... So she's being upset because he's literally doing what she suggested.
Yeah. Overall, it was just kind of like fun, and I think that it was a nice twist to have Flim and Flam have this kind of creative way of getting money out of people. It was like, don't you want to go to the school that Star Swirl the Bearded is at?
Of course we want that.
And so it's just kind of fun. It's kind of it's a fun episode.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Editor.
Basically, me and Korean watched it at the same time together. We both loved the fact that Star Swirl is completely oblivious to everything that's going on. Flim and Flam are still as much as a sleazy showman assholes as ever. And Scott McNeil, once again, is a fantastic voice to listen to. I've got nothing against that guy. He's my favourite voice actor, so anything to do with him, I'm instantly in love with. What's another thing for it? I don't know if it was just a fun episode in general. I mean, it's not one of the ones I can remember too well, but it was a very, very fun one to watch.
And Omniviewer.
I think it's actually kind of interesting the way they've been able to keep Flim and Flam going, because especially the more and more you see them, they've stayed pretty consistent with how they're not technically doing anything that's wrong if you look only at the surface. Like, you have to actually dig to figure out where it gets underhanded.
Like politicians.
Yeah. I mean, I can't say that's always the case with them, but it is interesting because, excuse me, a lot of the time you could easily see those kind of characters devolve into we're obviously being evil and doing something illegal, but it's not so obvious with them. They're really good at spinning it. One lingering question I do have, though, is that they clearly implied that Cozy Glow is the one who sent them that book of how to do the school in the first place. But what exactly was her plan with that? Like, how did that fit in?
Did they?
Wait, literally at the end, Twilight asks, so how did they get their hands on a copy of my book? And then Cozy Glow opens the door. Oh, excuse me. Like, that's clearly a question-answer thing.
I don't know how that actually would relate. I think that it's supposed to relate to the fact that that it's trying to point direction towards Chancellor Nayser because he's kind of an asshole and a bigot.
I suppose that is part of it, but it just seems like a weird little tangent for the plan to take.
Right?
I mean, it could be just like, hey, that kid's up to no good.
But that still doesn't make sense.
Well, like they didn't actually think it through. They just said, hey, Cozy's doing bad things. What's that going to amount to?
Well, it felt a little weird, but otherwise, again, very interesting way to go about it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it took almost the whole podcast, but yeah, finally got to me being the naysayer for this. I mean, I don't know. I didn't have a ton of fun with it because to me, the whole cleverness, the whole it's underneath the surface. I mean, I felt like they took care to put it not deep enough to be clever, but just enough to be
fun,
obligatory, and kind of annoying. Like, oh, of course they catch Twilight at just every moment, and if they spin sentences that, unless you're a blockhead, shouldn't be that spinnable, so that it needs to be this complicated. Star Swirl is going to walk in on her at just the wrong time. They're going to have some stupid excuse that she should feel pressured to go along with this. And I mean, and of course, Star Swirl, because the conflict needs to last a whole episode, nobody can use common sense and say, like, well, hey, maybe Twilight has her side to the story that I should listen to and consider, because I don't know anything for a fact here, consider both sides validly. They have to, hey, this looks like you're jealous. out of character in a totally out of character way. I'm going to fold my arms at you and decide with metaphysical certitude that is what is happening.
I think that's I think on one hand that's a fair point, but I think that arguably the point of what they are, who they are, is the Flim and Flam. They're salesmen and they're charming. They have a lot of charisma and they're basically able to point you to any what?
They're swindlers.
Swindlers. They're able to.
Good.
They're swindlers. They're con men, and the part of being a con man, a swindler, etc., you have to have a lot of charisma. And when you have a lot of charisma, especially when you've built it around people who actually you have talked to, like one-on-one, and while Swirl the Bearded has talked to Twilight, he's trying to take in her lesson, be like, think the best of someone, while unless given any other reason to. Flim and Flam have Chandler, who, well, he's just an asshole in general and has already shown that he doesn't really like Twilight at all. So it's kind of like this consistent thing of this is their charm versus other people's attitude towards somebody they may not know as well.
And the only time
needed to come back,
And the only time the brothers weren't the bad guys was a time Twilight wasn't even there for.
Yes, that was Applejack, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Applejack and
Viva
Fluttershy.
Las Pegasus. And what I was going to say is, even though they weren't the swindlers for most of that episode, that time around, I did really buy how the swindler got away with everything there, and I also bought that they were really clever. I thought the episode took the time to lay that out to make it in line with effective tactics people do use to skewer other people's judgment, and and to line it up with the kind of complexity that scam artists, con men use to their advantage. This kind of seemed like it fell back on the same old convenience writing we've seen for this kind of plot, which it's not to say it made it like a terrible episode. This is another one of like my C grades, I guess. I roll my eyes at it, but I mean, I can't say that I'm like in pain watching this or anything. It's what it is.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment.
That's fair too. Yeah.
Do you want to go to the next episode, or do you want to cut it off? Because I know that Day is kind of sleepy.
Technically, from where we started to the end of the season, the next episode is the exact halfway point. So if everyone's all right, let's go into that one.
I mean, I can go for it. Well, actually, I do have to clean. My grandma's coming.
So probably
So
not.
how long does End in Friend, the one where they decide this is what they're doing with Rarity and Applejack now, how long is it going to take people to talk about that?
I don't like it. Next.
Really?
Yeah.
I actually like this episode a lot.
I honestly can't remember it as much. It's basically Applejack and Rarity not get. It's basically Applejack and Rarity not getting along, but replace RD, but replace
AJ with RD.
literally, it's the same voice actress, just change the voice you were using. That's literally all it is.
I actually really liked this episode.
I can't remember it.
For me, it's the fact that
I can remember there was a giant stinking buffalo frog kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah, I mean, I actually think that's the perfect summary for it. It's a Rarity Applejack episode, except with Rainbow Dash, because it's written by the lady who writes chapter books for NLP chapter books for elementary school kids, and of course, that's what I'm gonna do with the tomboy and the fashionista, right? They're opposites, so they have to realize that it's okay to be opposites. And
I don't feel like that was the point.
Okay, let's hear.
Here's the thing. There's a difference between just opposites attracting and just kind of clicking. And I feel like that was the point of the episode, that it wasn't necessarily that, oh, we're total opposites. This is totally like, oh, I'm the fashionista, you're the tomboy, I'm the I'm the sewer, you're the athlete, etc., etc. It was more about the fact that they just click. And some people just click. They don't have a lot.
And they never questioned it until someone else did.
Exactly. That for me, that was the point. And I really enjoyed how that kind of worked, because they're not just opposites, they almost have nothing in common. With Applejack and Rarity, it's a matter of they are opposites, but they have like these little things in common. Like, oh, I'm a hard worker. I'm a hard worker. Oh, I admire this about you. I admire this about you. When was the last time we had a Rarity and Rainbow Dash episode where it was about anything other than the fact that that there was a problem, they had to go solve it?
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, well, honestly, I kind of thought that was the one intriguing and at least moderately fresh thing about their dynamic was that they didn't have a lot in common, but they did just kind of seem to get what the other one was. That
and
just
for
kind of
the
okay with it. Like, I mean, yeah, where like Applejack and Rarity, their problems seem to be that like, okay, I fundamentally take issue with this and this thing you do, while I take issue with this and this thing you do. Rainbow Dash and Rarity, it's like, okay, she's one of those athlete types that I'm not. She's one of those fashion-y types that I'm not. Okay, cool. Like, she gives me my space, so cool.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I enjoy, because sometimes people, they just kind of click, and and we don't have a lot of relationships in media that's like that. I think the closest to a relationship, and by relationship I don't mean like, oh, it's romantic, like I'm totally shipping, but it's more like just in general a relationship, platonic, is Magneto and Professor Xavier. In the comics, when you first meet them, when they first talk about their relationship together, they just kind of, there's no explanation for why they get along. It's just that they click.
Even then, they do have some common ground in that they're mutants.
Yeah, but fundamentally, it's like they just click. That's it.
No, I like how that is. You go.
I was going to say, to be fair to the episode, they did show a natural progression of how they get to a point where they do have a falling out. It's not like somebody questions it and then they're like, say, why are we friends? I guess we really shouldn't be. They have that question posed, and then they proceed to have a really horrible day where everything keeps going wrong. You combine that with a question that just kind of eats at the mind a little. You can see that snowballing. And you can see why they might get to a point where temporarily they would be at a point where they would want nothing to do with each other and not even know why they were friends at the first place.
I do also.
Yes, natural is a strong word.
I think it becomes more. I think it becomes more obvious as the episode goes on, or at least in the first act, when the question is posed.
I'm not supposed to sew while I'm playing a sport?
Yeah, well, she's not sewing; she's sketching.
Whatever.
Also, something that I do.
I'm not supposed to do something that has nothing to do and places zero focus on the activity I just said I do while I'm doing it.
To be fair,
how am I supposed to know these things?
To be fair, I had a similar confrontation with Joe while we were, I think it was both at BronyCon and when we went out. I would always get my sketchbook and my pencils, and you would be like, why do you have these?
I'm still like that, but you remember.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
and
you don't do it while he's trying to pass you a football or something, right?
He doesn't like football.
But yeah, no, it's just a fun.
Well, your football. I mean, I don't know.
To be fair, though, his version of a football is much different than mine.
Yeah.
But I think
sketch while he's trying to kick a football at you.
I have done that once, though. Actually, I've sketched on my arm, and then somebody kicks a soccer ball at me, and I'm like, oh, that's a thing that's happening now. But I also liked how neither one was actually willing to kind of look at the other's perspective. Like when when Starlight came in, it was like, hey, why don't you read the other's favorite book? And they were like, I skimmed it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of fun. And it was amusing. And then as the episode goes on, it feels more like a natural progression to be like, from why are we friends to we're friends because we're friends. And I think this was...
Good.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, no, I agree. And because of that, I do like this better than Flim Flam's Friendship University or Cutie, or it's Cozy Glow's episode called again, I'm already forgetting, Marks for Effort. I like it a little better than those. I just feel like I didn't get to that point until like the last act with the hunting down the whatchamacallit.
The amulet, the missing amulet.
Yeah.
Because it was supposed to be a blend of both of the books that they didn't read.
So yeah, like that was all well and good, but I mean, yeah, as far as the read being that, okay, but yeah, this is supposed to further reaffirm how they just kind of click without having to think about it too much, like in their last episodes. I mean, I'd love for that to be, well, I would like an episode like that. I mean, I wish that had been my reaction to this one while watching it, because I mean,
yeah, me too.
Felt like it was playing up the whole, what, they're such opposites. It felt like it was playing that up so hard. Like I kind of saw a knockoff for the Applejack episode for a large portion of it anyway.
Yeah.
But
I will respectfully disagree, but I can see where you're coming from.
I mean, but no, well, still though, I did like the last, I guess, 1/3 or so, as much as everyone who's in favor of this episode seems to like the whole thing. Or
I'm like the only one. Everyone else doesn't seem to like.
But I think though, like Omniviewer, and you were saying you were kind of echoing that you thought it got more natural as it went on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I do agree with that. Like,
yeah, I do
that,
also
like, this is,
agree with that.
I mean, heck, well, I've already gone over episodes like, okay, I don't love them, but I mean, I guess it's alright. Like, I mean,
and I think we've all had one of those times where somebody questions something about us that we always just sort of accepted for a long time, and it starts getting under our skin until we eventually reach a point of, you know what? Who cares?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
All right then. So, I guess we can call that a job well done on this part.
Yeah.
The season coverage.
I think we'll be good now.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us, everybody. This is your second opinion, and those other guys.
Oh, screw you.
Crimson Glow editor Dayla Omniviewer. That's the.
Bye.
See ya. This has been your future evil alert. I can't today. Shut up. This is Crimson Glow signing out.
Second day away. Yay.
I'm the editor, and cut, that's a wrap.
And I'm also going.
I keep forgetting you don't have a sign out thing.
Oh, I do. I just like to shake it up.
That's what the man said. Good night, everybody.